My name's Eddie, and this is a kind of getting together, a kind of, I don't know, a chat about what's happening outside there. Hopefully, I'll give you a couple of minutes, you can join me, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the technology works. It isn't, it was supposed to be hosted by somebody who couldn't do it, so literally, try to study it and try to understand it as best I can. If anything happens and there is a delay or whatever, I promise you, whatever happens, some way, somehow, we will get this thing on. So, look, there are a lot of things happening, aren't there? I hope you're safe, first of all. We're in the midst of COVID. And even then, people feel so powerfully about what happened to a black man in Minnesota that thousands of people in this country, last week alone, there were 200 demonstrations. And across the world, there were millions of people who were demonstrating. There have now been charges, as you know, but we are in a moment. I found myself having difficult conversations, thinking about what I do, what I've done, making it easy and convenient for people so that they didn't feel uncomfortable, not understanding that by doing that, we would come to a time where people could look me in my face and go, well, all life matter, Eddie. What are you talking about? And so hopefully we can explore what we've learned about ourselves, what you've learned about yourself. I implore you to send your questions, to send your messages, to talk, and let's see if this works. So my name's Eddie. I host a show on the radio. I tell jokes. My comedy partner is Robbie. I earn a living through entertaining people. But this isn't entertainment. This is, as Leon Muhammad would say, edutainment. But we're not coming on here to try and teach anybody anything, right? Because that isn't the way it is at the minute. We want to share and learn. So that's the way it is. Okay, so first guest. She's the first lady of comedy, really, in the way she carries herself, in what she talks about. And I believe that anybody who can earn their living for more than 30 years doing comedy is a social commentator. And if you've seen Dave Chappelle's comedy yesterday, it wasn't really comedy, it was just him telling it the way he sees it. And that's kind of what we want to do. So this lady who's found God, but who was godly, is Angie Lamar. Angie, greetings to you.
Hi, Eddie. How you doing?
I'm all right. Thank you for agreeing to do this.
Oh, no problem. It's good to be able to talk. It's timely.
And in a way, it's kind of rubbish that we haven't done it before, isn't it?
You know, we all know that we've got so much to say, and the combination of coming together at a time to be able to say, look, I'm ready to talk. You're ready to talk. Curtis wants to talk. The whole community wants to talk. And here we can talk honestly. And I think every week, every day, someone's saying, can you come on our show to talk? Can you come and say a few words? And you don't really want to say a few words. You want to talk, not give the little sound bites to say, what's happening in the community? Angie Lamar, what do you think? I haven't done any. I didn't want to do any, Eddie. When you called me and said, let's talk, I said, yeah, because we can have that real talk.
And it is going to be like that. And it might be uncomfortable and we might not agree. But that's the point, isn't it? That reasoning conversation has kind of gone out of the window. The kind of rum, I'm sure you went to the rum shop when your mum and dad or your father was in there. Yeah, okay, actually. But real talk, real talk. Listen, God bless you. Let me introduce the Don Dada of comedy. He started as a duo and now he's on his own. He carries it. He wears the hat. He wears the crown. And it's an absolute pleasure to say hello to Curtis.
Good afternoon.
How are you, Curtis?
Hello, Eddie, Mr. Nesta.
Hey, Curtis. The Don is here.
Right, so Curtis, yours is a little slow, so I'm going to start with Angie so that we can give you clear time, because I really do want to hear what you've got to say. Angie, when you saw a man with his knee on another man's neck, with his hands in his pocket, looking up at the people filming and saying, so what? How did you feel?
First of all, I started with the image before I saw the video. So I woke up and, you know, it was just in the social media, and I looked at this image of this man with this, with this knee in his neck. And part of me was thinking, I wonder what happened before I started to read what had really taken place. Because the way the man had his hand in his pocket, I thought, maybe he didn't die, just by that image. And then as the minutes went by, everything started to come out. And then I realized, okay, this man died, right? And so therefore, I had to watch the video. Now, Eddie, when I started watching the video, it took me a couple of days to watch the video. And I haven't actually watched the full 8:46 minutes. I've had to take it in little moments. Because for every time you look at it, you think, I know how it ends. I know how it ends. So here I am watching this man alive, knowing how it ends. Normally we get the news and we see it and somebody gets shot or whatever, and we just see it instant. But to watch somebody slowly die in full view of the whole world was that moment where you just thought, it's over. This thing is done. Because you can't do that in full view. And what I've started to understand after that was cameras were everywhere. We'd just come out of a virus where we were feeling so close to family, so close to loved ones, feeling that, oh my God, is everybody okay? Come inside, put on your mask, look after yourself. That's how we're feeling about family. Then you watch this image, which is somebody's son who is calling for their mother, Eddie. At that point,
who is dead.
You hear your sons, you hear your husband, you hear your fathers, you hear every black man you know in that most vulnerable position, calling for their mother and then dying. After that, I went, okay, there's no coming back from this. I felt it so deep. I felt I had to shut down, and the tears that I cried was just a silent cry.
Curtis, let me take you there, because you are that man. You are that man who had the knee on your throat. You are that guy calling for your mother. How did you feel, Kurt?
Just like Angie, shock when you first see the video. I have to confess I watched all of it and then advised people not to watch it, probably wrongly, but I realized how it impacted me. I didn't want to give that feeling to anybody else. So when people ask, what? I said, oh, don't watch it. Get somebody to tell you about it. Don't actually watch it. But I think people had to see it, you know?
Yeah.
Because living in England, we hear about deaths in custody. All my childhood, I've heard about deaths in custody. If you lived through the apartheid era, you heard about deaths. Whoa, careful.
Sorry.
Is it all right? Okay.
I don't need one in the house. Sorry.
Okay. You hear about deaths in custody with police brutality, but as Andy said, to actually witness, because the last time I witnessed one was a video from South Africa. Didn't want to see that again, and to actually witness it had to start something. You could not watch that video and not be impacted. No matter what your feelings are about the police, no matter what your feelings are about black people, no matter what your feelings are about humanity, you had to be impacted in some way after watching that video. And I'm hoping that from that death and many others, we have to draw some positives. We have to make a change in the way we all live our lives.
I'm going to get to that, because I do think there are lots of us giving people instructions and getting tired of explaining to people what Black Lives Matter means. And one of the things I don't want to move away from in this is the responsibility that we all have about the way that we carry ourselves, about what we say, about how we think, about where we shop and where we spend our money. So We will come to that, I promise you. Let me jump. I don't want to do it in chronological order, because actually the thing that I've seen all across my Facebook and the thing that I've seen in all the newspapers today is two images stick with me. And I'd like to ask you both about the two images that I've seen today. You first, Curtis. There is an image of a man urinating next to a monument for Keith Palmer, who was the officer who died outside the House of Commons. And there is an image of a black soldier. I call him that. He's got the beret, the gloves, the t-shirt on, carrying a white guy to safety. How can you leave your house to protect a monument that you urinate against and protect another one from a guy who was fighting against the Nazis while using a Nazi salute and fighting the people, i.e. the police, who are also set there to defend those monuments? What's going on, Curtis?
I think people wanted a rock. People are very angry. The Black Lives Matter movement has ignited a lot of people, and I'm going to compare it to, because when the Brexit debate was going on, there was a lot of racial rhetoric going on. Nobody owned it. Nobody wanted to admit it, but there was a lot of racial undertone. Now, those are the same people that feel like they're being pushed. How comes nobody's listening to us? And unless we start to educate our young as a society, unless we start to educate our young.
No. What, we're not doing any of that here. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Listen to what I'm saying, Eddie. You have some real ignorant people, right, who feel like they're being bullied because they don't understand the whole. We all had to learn. We've grown to a certain age. You two are much older than me, but we've all grown to a certain age. Right? But we've had to learn. I've had to change the way I think about a million things as I've evolved as a person, as I've become more into an adult, and I've had to change my thinkings on certain things. I was extremely homophobic when I was a youth, right? I was extremely homophobic. I've had to learn and change my thinking and come out of my ignorance. I've had to do that. It's been a journey for me. So if I've grown up and all I've heard is the hatred of black people, the hatred of gay people, the hatred of everything, and that's all I've heard, I've got to be educated. All of those guys who were on a mission yesterday, yeah, whether they're the far right, wherever they've come from, they're angry and they think that violence is going to solve their problem, because they haven't learned to talk yet, haven't learned to articulate whatever's inside them, that hatred, that hostility that exists inside.
They are articulating. They have hatred inside them, and they articulate it through cocaine and through Stella and through confrontation. They are articulating.
Well, that form of articulation is fine. It makes great TV, makes great news. But whatever army you're coming with, be aware there's another army waiting who can communicate in that language, if that's the language you want to use.
You see, I want to say that you're right, but listen, I never knew how to block people until this, right? And when people come to me with, so there's one particular woman who's come on the page, and I've put something up, and she's going, look, I don't mean to cause offense, but all lives matter. So why not, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't block her at first. And then like 10 people were trying to explain to her and saying, hold on a minute, after 2 weeks of people, if you don't understand now, it's because you don't want to understand.
Exactly.
Okay. So we go back to George Floyd, okay? And the whole world is in uproar. And what we're saying in that moment is that for you who don't care, our lives matter. Our black lives matter. It matters because you've seen this before and you've not done anything. You've had a little moment and you jog around and you do a little movement and people say a few things and then it happens again. And then it keeps on happening. And then we say, oh, you know what? In this moment, everybody is up. Everybody is feeling it because remember, Eddie, we all saw that murder from every angle. We saw people, the other policemen sitting on him. We all saw it. So in any human behavior, you must all look at that. You know, people try to separate black people and white people, like we've got some different type of feelings. We all looked at that and thought that was evil, right? So we jump up and we say, we're going to start marching and we're going to have a protest. We're going to say all lives matter because you can't keep doing that to us, right? We start doing that. Everybody comes back and say, all lives matter, all lives matter. And we want to say, shut your mouth. It's not about you or life because you're all right. You don't have to worry about this threat that is happening. We do, and it's the black people that is having to suffer from this. And we, if you don't mind, we're just over saying our lives, our black lives matter. You turn it to all lives matter, so you start to distract. So what happened yesterday was pure distraction because we were out there standing up, protesting. They told us not to turn up. Still turn up because our lives still matter. Our black lives still matter. Then we've got the Tommy Robinson, let's call it what it is. You want to go down there and protect our statue? Listen, half them statues around the world and we don't even know or care about them. It's not about...
Not till yesterday.
No, yeah, not till yesterday. Till when? You can board him up. You can do what you want to do with him. I'm not really bothered about Churchill. You can talk about Edward Colston. You can go back there. But all of that is a distraction so that we get off course. Then EDL run off down there to want to fight. But then you come and meet people who can fight back.
All right.
No, what do you think you're going to do? You're just going to walk up in us and just go, you, whoa, whoa, whoa. And we go, oh, stop it. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
This goes back to the 80s. This goes back to New Crossfire. This goes back to walking on the street where black men were being attacked by the National Front. This goes.
But my fear, Angie, is...
What fear?
That, well, I'm going to tell you, my fear is that what's happening now is... Sorry, let me just explain to everybody, because people who don't know. This is how we talk. There's no fighting. This is how we talk. Well, my fear is now we're going to go back to the Stephen Lawrence days, because man is going to think, right, well, there's one of them over there. There's 5 of us. We can go and make our little point over there. So we're not going forward. We're going backwards.
Because see, the difference is now.
No.
The difference is now. We have been. No, sorry. We have been sitting.
We are moving so far forward, Eddie. This is a revolution right now.
We're moving forward. We've got children. We got more numbers now. We have created more. We have played the game. We have done what we're supposed to do. We've been polite. We've tried to. We've tried to do what is right. You call it the Stephen Lawrence case and the McPherson report, and everybody's going away to behave for a moment, and then it all comes back. Why does it keep coming back, Eddie? This is the question we have to ask ourselves. Why does it always keep coming back when we're trying to move on with our lives?
I told you we shouldn't have a woman on this debate. Listen, what I want to say is, right, it has to change, because when you guys were going through what you were going through, there wasn't social media. Do you know what I mean? Social media has changed the game.
Yeah.
Things can happen a minute ago and we can see it a minute later. That's how the game has changed.
Yes.
So all of this, they'll say, oh, there one goes. When they were saying that to you, you were walking on your own across East London, and they could say that. You said it now, and you ain't got your phone on you to say, bang, bang, here I am, look at me, texting away, videoing. And how much man going to come and support you and back you up? Well, not Eddie so much, but Angie, people would come and back you up and support you.
Absolutely.
What worries me is that even the way that we're talking has an adversarial quality, doesn't it? It sounds like we're in a war, are we?
Well, no, you know what? We're passionate, okay, because we've been here before. Every decade we come here and we have this well thought out discussion about moving forward. But today's newspaper, the media, they don't know how to handle themselves, because last week everybody was vicious and evil and how could they do this to us? And this week they're going, oops, they're calling them interrupters of the protest.
The counter-protesters.
Yeah, they're not calling them who they are. They're not saying EDL. They're not saying a bunch of white guys came down to interrupt these pleasant young people who are protesting. They're not telling the news like that. But
I don't think they can use that language because there's a lot of white people protesting for Black Lives Matter. So they can't just do it on a color thing because that wouldn't be the reality.
Yeah, but they were called thugs last week. That's the
Thuggery.
Thuggery.
But there were white people last week. They've been protesting.
When you check it, all of the people pushing Colston's statue, there was a brother there, but there was a 3 white guys pushing the statue, and I'm screaming at the TV, "Don't touch it, that boy. Brother, don't touch it. Just direct it."
I'm thinking,
the river is over there.
Yeah, just give them directions, man. The river's this way.
all I'm thinking is at that point, Eddie, Curtis, I'm thinking, put your mask right up here because of COVID.
Because isn't that the sad reality that if there are 5 people pushing it and 4 of them are white and 1 is black, in my heart, I'm thinking he's
mixed.
the black
They're mixed. There's mixed race. There were mixed race.
Okay.
That's
Well, it's weird. That's I'm sitting home. That's how I watch media, looking at black people. Say, don't do anything. Don't just talk.
Angie, ask him if he's mad. All of us do that, Curtis.
Okay.
When you hear about a crime and you go, please, God, don't make it to a black person, please.
The minute they say Timothy, we go.
You know, I used to watch Trevor McDonald, and I swear he used to twitch before he had to announce something.
Pressure. That's how black people get pressure, you know.
So let me ask you this. This is one of the things, and I didn't really think I did it until I really checked myself, and I thought I did do it. Part of what makes this conversation really difficult is, as black people, and sometimes we don't even consciously do everything we can to make other people feel comfortable. I don't know about you, Curtis. I know when I go into the BBC, what the T-shirt I wear, where my hat is, how I smile at people, how I try to. Do you see what I mean? I don't want people, because I feel as though people are threatened by me the whole time. Yeah. And maybe that's one of the things. Sorry, Andrew, I'm going to come to you, but I'm just speaking as a guy, that I feel that we have to address that this is me. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable, then I'm really sorry, but you're going to have to get used to it. What do you think?
I totally agree with you. I've lived my life like that. But as a nature, my nature is to say good morning to people. That's just the way I was raised. I do that, you know. I'm now mindful of why am I doing it, you know, and I don't give it so much. And I have to say, since we've had this revolution, I'm getting a lot more good mornings from white people when I'm walking outside. Good morning. And now I say probably is for you. You know, I'm trying to keep it real.
You say that, Curtis. You say that.
No, Curtis. No.
For you, because people who've never spoken to me, and I walk my dog every morning, are suddenly, morning, because they're trying to reach out, which I appreciate. But I'm not comfortable with, you didn't talk to me for the last 10 years, and today you're talking to me because...
Yeah, but why not let them go on the journey that you've gone on? I've gone on the journey. So whereas I used to cuss everybody and have a laugh and think that they knew that I loved them anyway, I will say the great Curtis Walker, I will say the leading woman of, I will give love in a way that I've never done it before. Why not allow that other dog walker to go on the journey that you've gone on and I've gone on, Curtis?
Yeah, but that's their journey.
Yeah, that's the thing. Why do we all...
It's their journey, Eddie. It's not my journey to give them anything. It's their journey. If you were racist yesterday and you're on a journey, do the journey. How are you going to learn if somebody's keep giving you? You're not going to learn. Go deep in yourself.
And the thing is, Maya Angelou said a great point when she said, people are more alike than they are unalike. Now, that simply means that you are human. And as we walk to the park, when I walk in my dog, and I noticed that as well, Curtis.
Look at us, we've all got dogs now. Black people never used to have dogs. We've been trying. I don't even like dogs.
I ain't got no, there's no dog coming in my house. No,
but
you
are
two.
The equivalent. You are Lisa's dog.
Oh, he started already. He's so rude.
Sorry, Andrew, make your point.
I was saying about my dog, right? So I'm walking the dog. The following day, everybody wants to kind of say hello and good morning, and they want to do that. Now, I'm just going to be polite and say good morning because it's good morning. And sometimes the people who you say good morning to, they don't want to say hello to you. I'm all right with that.
Me
But
too.
when you don't want to say hello to me, remember that you don't want to say hello to me. The next day, when you feel like you want to say hello to me, I must be ready for you.
Okay.
No, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
We established that we don't say good morning. Just because you feel like Black Lives Matter, you want to say good morning to me.
No. And here's the point where you two get angry with me, but that's fine, because that's my job, is to say to you, Angie, you as a person, a Black woman, and Curtis, you as a Black man, you can't change this. We have to take people with us. Otherwise, it doesn't change. Because you can march as much as you want. But as I say at work, until people of color are employed, until they're not just answering the phones, anytime I go in there, all the people cleaning the toilet are Black people. All the people, security guards, are people who are immigrants to the country. Until we recognize that structures are in place, there is a glass ceiling, that you get to a certain point and you don't seem to be, and that all of us have our own bias. Yes? Until those things change, then you can walk your dog as much as you want.
But Eddie, there are some genuine people that really do feel bad about this, and there are some white people who don't know how to actually approach the situation, and they feel like maybe I won't say nothing, or they might come out and overspeak, and you think you're doing too much.
Is this you do too much?
Because you know you're doing too much today, because tomorrow you're going back to normal. You know, we call them the Karens, right? A couple of days before, when Amy Stewart was about to make another George Floyd by a phone.
That's right. That's exactly right.
This woman has gone back into the workplace, right? She's going to be the teachers. She's going to be the bosses. All of these women are working amongst us, okay? They haven't got caught on camera yet. So tomorrow they can say, what is it I can do? What can I do? And I've always said this, Eddie, I can't change your mind. You have to have a heart change. You've got to change your hearts. You've got to make that decision. Yes, you can walk amongst me and be kind and be a part of the protest. But when you see your people behaving badly, you call them out. How many times in that environment where we've gone, that white person has seen what that white person has done to that black person and done nothing. Yeah. But if you come outside and go, oh, it's terrible.
Right. But I do think we have got to a moment, because everybody, Curtis, as Angie said when she started, every proper, decent human being who saw that, whether they vocalize it or not, knows what we saw, the catalyst for this conversation, was wrong.
Yes, yeah.
And so that's what
you can't done it like that on Zoo or this.
Everybody is putting themselves together now to work.
Eddie's frozen out, Ange. Let's take over the show.
I'm not frozen. I'm just waiting for you to answer.
But that wasn't a question. That was a statement.
That's a statement. Don't you work doing this stuff?
I thought you were professional.
A statement for you, Curtis. What is the most challenging conversation that you've had with someone around race during this time?
I don't do it, Ed. I do not embark on it anymore. I'm tired. If what's going on hasn't made you check yourself and have a look at your heart and your soul and your spirit, I haven't got that kind of time, bro. And I've got lots of time, but I haven't got that kind of time. I was listening to Harry Enfield. Did you hear this on Harry Enfield? This is another issue. I don't want to get involved, but that was the last debate I had about race, and that was about blackface.
Yeah, well, we should talk about that. I mean, you know, we do have to talk about blackface. We do have to talk about Grenfell. It's the anniversary today, and the three of us can't be on here and not mention that. Did those images on Little Britain, Fawlty Towers, I don't know, Bow Selector, Angie, do they impact on your life?
Oh, yes. It gave me a nervous breakdown at the time.
Do you think it's another one of those distractions?
Yeah.
The biggest distraction. Honestly, I can't. When I'm hearing Keith Lemon talking about, crying about, oh, this happened and I must have whatever. You messed up Craig David's career, right?
Oh, bad.
Trisha Goddard was out there with her kids being bullied at schools because of the jokes that you made. mates. These things were going on, right? And so today when people want to be a bit reflective and sit down and go, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do? And then come on and prepare for their career moves to make sure that they have.
But Angie, what else do they do? But is it not recognizing it? I mean, help me to understand.
Let me finish, because
Please.
this topic here is serious to me, because we all came up in that moment. We came up when they were giving out TV shows. We came up when we were sitting there building our work, and all of a sudden things changed. Things changed, and we've got to definitely come on to that. But when I see people sitting there going, oh, this happened to me and this happened to me, I'm thinking, whoa, 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 when did it become about you? About you?
Oh, Angie, that's hard.
No, it's not hard. No, it's not hard. Because some of the sketch shows we all laughed at.
Yeah.
Campaigns and saying, oh my God, did you see that? Some of the stuff we looked and we went, oh, you're going there. Let me see what the world's going to say about that. And the world said nothing.
Yeah.
Now, tear it down so that people can now be angry with us. They want to be angry with us with Churchill. Then they want to be angry with us because guess what? They love Harry Enfield. They love these people. So they pit us against them. And the argument is not with them. The argument is why Curtis Walker don't have his own show.
Yeah, I argue that every night before I take a drink.
You want to talk about those things,
Marvin.
If you feel guilty, if you feel
there, Eddie. Sorry, darling. You keep talking.
We're like we're in church. You just preach, and every now and again, me and Curtis would just go, "Amen." You go on, Angie.
You mean hallelujah, sister?
You tell baby.
turn to your Bible.
We go to Angie's house. Come on now. We go to Angie's house.
Curtis, have you seen Judy Love's post? Because Judy Love's post is quite interesting because she's the future. We have to accept she's the future, and her Instagram show is getting thousands of followers. So we know she's the future. And what she put up, I found quite interesting. And she kind of didn't talk about the show. She said, look, you're taking down these shows, but what about these shows that we used to love? Instead of taking down shows, why don't you put shows up? It kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
It does.
Curtis, sorry to cut you.
That question was for me, though. But go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry to cut you. Let me finish my statement. The other day, I was sitting at home, right? No, because remember, I'm not talking to nobody. I'm just talking to you.
No, you keep talking, Edge.
I was sitting at home, and this is going to get emotional because I was sitting at home, right? And I thought about Felix Dexter, right? And Eddie, you and I went to the hospital to see Felix.
Don't go there,
Ed. No. If we're going to really do this, we must do it honestly. And I sat there, and tears came to my eyes because I thought about Felix, and I thought, Felix, you never got your own show. You never got your own show. And we all know how we saw Felix. No one could say a wrong word against Felix. If somebody came to you and said, Felix said this about you, you look at that person and say, you're a liar. That's who Felix Dexter was. And I started to think about, here we are with Ron McCoy, Get Up, Stand Up, all those shows, right? And I had to write it on that post that day and say, you know what? He didn't get his own show. In this season, Ron McCoy, you can't find it. You got Comedy Gold and no one can repeat any of our black shows. Any of them? I'm going to go and turn down the peas.
Please. No, well said, Angie, well said. It needed to be said. Could have been said a lot shorter, but it needed to be said. We all concur with what you said, Felix. And I talked about it on my Instagram, Curtis Walker, comedian. Marcus Powell. This is a story that I think on a level of talented people that we've all known, and I'm honored to be sitting or talking to two very talented ones, but black people have dreams and aspirations too. So this is what I want to get to the point of I was trying to make before Andrew interrupted me. Harry Enfield, I didn't see the original show, but did blackface where he depicted Nelson Mandela as a drug dealing, stolen goods dealing guy out of his back of his car or whatever. This was his nod to comedy. And he was being interviewed, And rather than in this time apologizing and saying, okay, it might have been a mistake, he said, oh no, I'm not sorry I did it. It was comedy, right? And that infuriated me, because when I was coming up and long after you lot, there was the alternative comedy scene. This was championed. Rick Mel, Ben Elton, you know, those guys from Cambridge, whatever, were championed as the new face of comedy. They're going to change the way comedians perform. No mother-in-law jokes, no my wife is so fat jokes.
Racist jokes.
Now, you have that clique of comedians who were supposed to change it. They were alternative, we were just black, right? He does a sketch depicting a guy that most black people see as a major influence in their heart, their soul, their spirit, as an icon. So you're going to do a sketch breaking him down as a drug dealing, stolen goods dealing guy. This is comedy to you. If Jim Davidson had performed that sketch, there would have been uproar, right? Harry Enfield, Little Britain crew, supposed to be forward thinking, they still are more comfortable doing a blackface and calling it is comedy. So, and I'm a great believer in letting comedy be comedy. There's no rules, there's no boundaries. But if you, as Nelson Mandela, who served 27 years for the color of his skin and his ideas, right, come out of jail and still, I don't care what you think about comedy, still the white man depicting him. That's why, for me, it goes.
It's not
deep.
the white man; it's a white man, isn't it?
No. It had to be filmed. It had to have sound. It had to have lighting. It had to be commissioned. It had to go through an editor. There is a body of people that made that on telly. Me and you can't turn around and put something on telly. How many people do we have to please with a sketch, with something on a piece of paper? We want to do this. It has to go from him to her, to him to her, to him to her, before it can get an okay, and it never gets the okay that you want. It has to be changed. Oh,
here's the problem I've got with that, Curtis. I agree with everything you said there, but I hate the idea of censorship so much, Curtis. I hate it because that means they're telling you. I've heard you say some things and it made me go, ooh, yeah. I've laughed, but it's made it, and it's an uncut. And if you watch Chappelle, and I put it up for you guys, but I'm sure you're ahead of me. Everything he said is uncomfortable. So he talks about smoking weed. He uses the C word on it. He calls the woman a B word. He uses the N word. So all of these things, if you went down the road of political correctness, he wouldn't be smoking on stage. He wouldn't be using the N word. He wouldn't be using the C word. So where do you stop and start your censorship?
Eddie.
Because no one doesn't own Dave Chappelle. No one owns Dave Chappelle, you know. No one.
I was specifically talking about the British experience.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about, we're not, you see, you're talking like we're stupid. You understand what I mean?
No, it's because, I apologize. I was talking specifically to you.
Yeah,
I apologize if everybody else got that feeling
none
too.
None of us are going to walk into a terrestrial or cable channel with a script, right, that is going to be full of profanity, doing what we do in stand-up. What I do in stand-up is different than what I do in a sketch show format or an interview format. It's different, Eddie, because we're just like everybody else, we're sensible. We know the rules of engagement. When I'm on stage, as Angie just said, when you're a stand-up comedian doing it live, nobody owns you. What you step on stage and say should come from your heart. As a comedian, it should be funny. Dave Chappelle was feeling what we've all been feeling. You understand? So when you've been feeling that passion, that pain, and you get an opportunity, and Netflix probably paying the bill for it, come on now. You say what you want to say. You say it from the heart because the people that are following you would expect nothing less.
Okay, fair point, fair point. I mean, where do we go from here? Because, you know, we are talking about comedy, television, which is a manifestation of society, right? Art and life and all of that. But, you know, you're a grandmother, Angie. You're about to be a grandfather, Curtis. I've got a 6 and 11-year-old. I'm telling the 6-year-old, if anything happens to you, run to that police officer. And I'm telling the 11-year-old, be wary, just be careful. So help me and the people who are listening to understand, first of all, where you hope we will go, Angie, and then where you think we're going with this.
First of all, I think we needed to understand some of the mistakes that we made, because as a Black community, we have made some mistakes. And I think we need to be able to address them. Before we talk about where we're going to go, we need to look about what we did and how we changed the game. And did we change the game? Or are we going to keep repeating ourselves, especially in the industry that we're in, Eddie? Now, we're at a stage where I'm a Harriet Tubman chick. I could have freed more. That's how I feel. And I must be able to say, I don't need that because I own myself and I own what I was going to do. Yeah. I have to teach that to my children. I have to teach that to my grandkids, because some of the mistakes we made while we were behaving ourselves, and Curtis, you said, we use common sense. So we use common sense and we think we're going to get somewhere. Curtis and I used to write for Blouse and Skirts. People might not know that. So we're establishing ourselves as writers. True or false?
True.
Half of these comedians that we know of in the mainstream started out to be writers. Somebody had a plan for them. Somebody was thinking where they're going to go and how is it going to manifest. Our jobs come one at a time, then we go.
Every 5 years.
Yeah. We do a TV show. We do, when we see the new blood come, we think, I hope you understand how this game works.
That's why Gina had to leave, because
and her ability just goes to show what we can do, because America got it and said, yeah, we get it. We're sitting here thinking the right game to play. Look at Real McCoy. You do Real McCoy, goodness gracious comes out of it. Then goodness gracious, move on to Kumar 46, 47, I don't know what the number is.
42.
That moment there, we're supposed to sit back and go, is that actually fair? Is that, and they're repeating it on Comedy Gold. And you may not want to talk up the things, but we're going to have to talk it, because that is a comparison for the things. That is a comparison for the things that don't happen to us. And every time we see the next blood come up, I went to the BBC once, Eddie, and I was sat there, and guess who was over there? French and Saunders, Victoria Woods, and Ruby Wax sat at a table. And I was watching them going, oh, you guys have got this, because Fabulous, absolutely fabulous, edited by Ruby Wax. So those sharp words in Absolutely Fabulous was written by Ruby Wax, because she's got the acid tongue. So we sit here, me and Curtis used to wake up in the morning early to go and write for Blouse and Skirts, because we saw this team that we were building. So what I want to say to the future talent, the Moes, the Judy Loves, the newcomers, seek advice from the people who went before you. Pull them in. No, I'm not saying to get work. I'm saying pull, and I'm not saying it for myself.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah. I think it's a metaphor, isn't it? It's a metaphor, Andrew.
I teach my children to make the village and stop giving ourselves.
Right. Okay. I'm going to have to translate what you just said.
Do you like your show?
Shut up.
And tell her you'll get back to her. You call her back. There's no.
I'm going to bring her fade. I'm going to bring her fader down. That's what I'm going to do. What you're talking about is one of the things that I've thought about as well. Have you realized if I say go into a black man's shop, it sounds racist? And no one else, Asians, whether they be Chinese or Indian, Jewish people, everybody's happy to go and buy something in a shop with somebody who looks like them. We're like, it costs too much, blah, blah, blah. And somehow, because I honestly don't believe, if you want my truth for a second, I honestly don't believe this color thing is going to work. I believe that as human beings, we're going to look at people and we're going to decide to ourselves how they look is how we're going to treat them. I'm a fatalist like that. But what I do think works is money. I think if you don't spend the money, if you don't buy from the shop, if you don't go to Amazon, if the way that Mike Ashley treated those people at Sports Direct, you take it. Do you know how much money we're worth? Do you know? And if we did that, whether you want a builder, a decorator, go to the shop. We don't do it, Ange. And this capitalist world is about economics.
But this is the point about, sorry to cut you, Curtis, do you want to speak on that? Because
I just wanted to hear you. That's why I got up out my bed this morning and come and sat in front of my computer just to hear you, darling.
Shut your mouth. The thing is, right, yesterday, this happened to me yesterday. I went into the shop, right, and this woman came back, an old West Indian woman, could be my mum, walked into the shop to bring back her bread. And she said to the man, the bread is gone off. I want my money back. So the Asian man said, wait, how long have you had the bread? So I said, you can't talk to her like that. She said, the bread's gone off. Do you think that woman is going to spend all her time coming to you to get £2.30? The bread's gone off. I went to look at the other breads. Some of the breads were gone off. I brought the bread back and I said, look, this bread is gone off as well. Give the woman back her money. And then he said, you know what? I can't give her the money back. I said, okay, let me tell you something. I don't know you don't know who I am, but I'm just telling you off the record, I can have this place shut down in 24 hours. All right.
Go on, Angie, so you bad.
So I said, I can have this place shut down in 24 hours. And then he looked at me like, is that a possibility? And I'm thinking, actually, yes, because those breads have gone off. Yeah. Give them back our money. And then I came out of the shop, Ed, and I thought, I'm not going back there. I'm not going back there. Where am I going to have to get my food from? My nails. I'm doing my nails by myself because I'm not giving my money away and I'm making a conscious effort not to do that. What we have to do is work out where we're going to put our money and how we're going to stick to it because we're not sticking to it. And people get...
Fade her out, Eddie. Fade.
No, go on, Curtis. Go on. Jump in. There's a break.
No, I don't like to jump in. It's messy. Angie, I just want to say, sister, I've been doing my nails myself for years. Yeah? So if you want sympathy, you ain't getting it from me. I've been doing my own nails for years. Yes? I'm keeping it real. And no, just to say about the economics, Eddie, you are so right. You are so right. And I think I was talking to a friend the other day, and I think we're suffering from Stockholm syndrome, where you've been with your capture so long, you love them. You understand what I mean? We hate ourselves a lot of the time. And as you said earlier, a black business, a well-run, well-organized, courteous black business wants customers from black customers, but their dream customer is a white, non-black customer. That's their dream customer, a lot of them. So they make their
it's crossed over.
It has crossed over. But we as all those business and entrepreneurs, it's not about our money, black money. If we could come together and spend it more sensibly, more powerfully, it would be great. But I don't know if closing or refusing to shop one day a week or one day of the year is going to make that change because people are going to run shopping on the 6th and they're going to go shopping on the 8th.
But it's not going to have the impact. But that's defeatist. By saying that, we are signaling and saying that it can't work.
No, my point is, it should be a week. It should be 2 weeks.
It should be all the time. What are you talking about, Curtis? If you want real,
because you're telling people not. Oh, I see what you mean. Yes.
I'm saying to you that from my own experience, and this might be too real. When Mrs. Nesta's a whack and literally made me knock down this whole house, right? And we literally had to build it back up. When I went out there, I was very conscious. I wanted to find a black builder for whatever reason. Call me racist if you want, but that's what I wanted. I couldn't find one in the space. My cousin had his house done by a guy. I went and I found that guy. And that guy was able, you know that I never heard English spoken in my house for 6 months. And I sat in my own house and I felt uncomfortable. He never called anybody that didn't look like it. So what I'm asking you is, why does it sound wrong? Akala, right? One of the new breed of intellectuals. He gave his Instagram thing the other day and he said, I did a gig. I've got some money. I went to the bank to deposit my money. I looked next to me and there was a guy who looked like me, dressed like me, also paying in money. And I thought to myself, who did? What that? What was that?
It's all right. Sorry, it's just in South London, a bit of an earth tremor.
Sure, right. Okay. He said he looked at the guy. He looked like him, dressed like him, and he thought to himself, "I wonder where he got that money from."
Wow.
That's a Carla, and he's the most woke out of all of us. And then he had to check himself.
Yeah. It's instinctive to us. There's a level where we've just indoctrinated, I think, this self-hatred, self-distrust, and we've got to get over that. But I go back to education, I go back to self-love. It's all about us appreciating each other. And it's a long journey. We're struggling with it, but it's a long journey. And unless we can control some media, as Angie said earlier, we have no control of the media. We have no control of this.
This is a media.
You got social media. I tell you what,
there's 672 people watching.
I'm talking, Eddie, for God's sake.
You didn't speak to Angie like that.
No, because she's a lady. All right, and you're just a B word. But anyway, I've been talking to you for months and months about a podcast, a regular thing that you control it, and you have your guests on, and we talk the real talk. We need a consistent form of entertainment. Consistent. I got a text this morning from a guy who's trying to set up a TV channel, but I've had that text for the last 20 years.
Me too.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The social. This is where Angie, the young people, have it covered in that regard. But what we'd like to see is a more cohesion where they work together instead of competing against each other. That's what happens. You're pitted against each other. Female comedians, all right? It's hard enough being a female comedian, much less a black female comedian in the industry is taught to despise the other black female comedian. It's just a weird way it works. And unless we can get over that and start to work and use each other's talent and build something, which I know is just rhetoric at the minute, but I've seen young people doing it, you know, although they've got the same bad-minded, cutthroat attitude, which you need in comedy. Let's be honest, it motivates you. But they do know the technical aspects of it. I wrote in my book, Curtis Walker's still here and still available, about Judy Love about 4 years ago. Judy Love has that energy. And being a more mature performer, and I think Angie as well, sees the talent in young people. You know who's going to make the grade. You know who's in it for the long run. You know who's not just an internet sensation. You know the ones that if you put them on stage, they're going to get laughs. Because ultimately, that's what we are supposed to do. And if they just believe in each other and get rid of some of the older generation, because some of us older ones, we're pandering. We're so desperate to be stars, we'll do any kind of foolishness because we were offered it. And we've all had that journey. We've all done that coon train. We've been on the coon train riding it.
People, because that's not my story.
No, all right, I hear you, baby. But what I'm saying is,
jump out of that lane a long time ago. Because
young people seem to have their own plan and their own energy. And I so commend them for that.
We think someone's going to give it to us. You know, take it by force. You know, when people say to me, "Oh, you can't write your own plays and whatever," I booked the theatre. I done what
right.
We made our own story because they want our narrative. They want to make sure we don't know enough, that we can't write, direct, and produce. Then you've got this thing that says one at a time, and we all know the one at a time thing, Curtis.
Yeah.
Go through.
Oh yeah, every 5 years. Every 5 years.
And then we see it happen, and we sit back. What we have to do to stay in the game is make sure our skin don't crack, so that we are ready for us.
Okay, so we were always going to get to this. We were always going to get to this point, right? First thing is, let me just say, apologies. I can see hundreds and hundreds of comments, and we haven't read one. Wait, no, because we're going to know.
I can't see one comment, Eddie, so you can see hundreds and hundreds.
Well,
hold on. Let me say, yes, Curtis, you're right. You sent me a text yesterday when I was low on the anniversary. It was my brother who passed anniversary, and you literally said, "Stop talking fart, let's do it." And I messaged Angie immediately, and both of you said yes. So let's challenge ourselves then, shall we? Because it's physician heal thyself time. let us, the three of us, work out a podcast. Let us do it. If people want it, and they will let us know because they are listening now, and we will make it about what's happening in the world, what we have learned, our experiences. We will also try to always leave something positive for people to take away, and we'll challenge ourselves with it. Are you up for it, Angela Martin?
What did you call me?
Angela Martin.
Yes, Eddie. You know, I'm up for it. I'm in that stage in my life, right, where I want that real talk and that real conversation. Absolutely, I do. I'm not worried. I'm not scared, and I'm whatever. And I don't think you can have real conversation if you have those things around you.
And Curtis, it is a lovely place to be when you're not scared anymore, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. And I just imagine that when I look around and see certain people around me that are so privileged and so au fait with everything, even their stupidity, they're so comfortable within it. I cannot express how empowering this whole journey has been. And admittedly, on lockdown, everybody's searching their souls a little bit. Angie hasn't had anybody else to talk to, but we're glad we're here for you, Angie. My God.
David is in the garden singing Luther Vandross, having a party. God bless, they took that woman away from me for a little while.
But yes, it's empowering, and you just got to. And I want to salute, as well as remembering Grenfell, just looking at those young people that went up on the march yesterday, and I was just in awe and so proud of those guys and girls who went up there, black, white, indifferent, really don't care. The positivity that came out of that was, oh man, I'm so proud of them, you know, and they're those guys, you know. Look, if they want it, they want it. If they want it, they got it, yeah? I'm here, yeah? Where are you? Where are you? It's beautiful. And
you know what? Because before Curtis starts crying because he gets emotional at this talk,
I do.
Whatever. But the thing is, what I saw with the young people, and I'm glad you brought that up, Curtis, because I was so proud to see all these young people, you know, black and white, coming together to say, this generation doesn't feel like the older generation. We want to do it differently. And we want to embrace our friends, embrace the culture. That so many people have benefited from the culture. You know,
Angie, I don't cut you, but have you got a key light on you?
A what?
If you've got a light on you, how come me and Eddie look a certain way and you look like you're in some studio?
She look like she's got a glow on her, innit? I'm gonna. Okay. Look.
I'm
Listen,
pregnant. I'm pregnant.
I've got this thing in my life. Always leave them wanting more. We are going to end this. I want to say, well, let's not muck about. We're trying to get things perfect. Can we? Can anybody who's got a question that they would like to put to us do it? Can we meet in this platform, on this platform, in exactly the way at 12 o'clock next week? I mean, Curtis, are you busy?
Yeah, I'm busy in lockdown, Eddie. I haven't worked for 8 weeks, my brother. If I'm still in the house, I will do it. If my Wi-Fi is still on, I will do it. If they haven't cut me off, I will do it.
Your Wi-Fi is operating like it needs money in the meter. Because me and she's moving smooth.
I was so surprised.
My recession Wi-Fi. Yeah, well, fix it up for next week, bro. Fix it up. Go and stay at Robbie's house because he's got enough bandwidth.
But you know, Robbie lives next door to a 5G antenna, so no wonder.
Listen, say your last words, Curtis, please.
Just thank you so much for allowing this conversation, Angie, and allowing us and me and Eddie to get a word in edgewise. And let's stay positive. Let's stay positive. And white people, if you know things are wrong, don't be afraid to speak up now. If you see it and it's wrong, don't be afraid to speak up now, because we need our allies, and I know that. Yeah, I know that. But we have a journey as black people. We're on a little journey. We're learning. We're empowering ourselves. We're building our own confidence back up after decades and years and centuries of it being torn down. and let us have that, all right? You're welcome to come along and support, but support us.
Ooh, follow that.
Not easy, is it? I put him on because I thought his one was going to be rubbish and he couldn't follow you.
I was going to do a Kwaku, hashtag Kwaku, but I won't.
No, the thing is, I would just say this. This is great platform. I mean, 1 o'clock would be better for me if you wanted to do it weekly. Personally.
He said next week, Angie, didn't book you for the rest of the year.
She's going to ask me for little expenses next week.
Travel expenses. Who's paying for those lights, Angie?
I was supposed to be looking after my grandchildren. I'm going to
Angie, turn your camera around. Let's see the film crew. Turn your camera around so we can see the film crew.
I'm getting a glow next week.
No, listen. No,
I tell you watch next week. I'm going to look wicked. Don't worry about that.
Watch this,
because I got some awards. I'm going to put up behind me. I got some awards.
You finished speaking already. What's wrong with you?
What's that behind that? Is that your chandelier? Jeez, you know, right? Oh, chandelier, you know. Jeez.
Curtis, leave her alone. Right, go on.
I've worked hard. Now listen.
Live your life, girl.
Girl. No, all I would say is that this has been an amazing experience to be able to talk openly. But I want to say, and I was saying about the young people, I think it's so important, and I really hope we can start to talk about our young people in the future. I mean, you might not want to book me for next week, you know, whoever you get, I hope they get to speak about young people, because that's so important. If Curtis comes back, then I'm coming back. If Curtis comes back and Curtis is getting paid and I'm not getting paid, I'm going to have to...
You see why black people can't move on, Eddie? Always. If BBC phoned her and said, come and chat, she don't ask them about money, you know. She said, what time? She ain't telling them about 1 o'clock's better for you.
Are you going to send a car? Can I bring Dave, my makeup artist?
And can I bring my dog and my key light? I bring my own lighting.
Right, Curtis, let's leave her alone. There's people on this who are very serious and want to hear the First Lady speak.
I'm saying that basically this is the beginning of a conversation. And I think that we must not forget the shoulders that we stand on. And there are some people that help. And we are here for our community. I'm here for my community. I know you are, Eddie, and I know Curtis is too. That's why these conversations are supposed to be like this, honest, open, and empowering. And I really feel good that we could do that this morning. And I would say to young people again, and I would say to our people, look at how we spend. Think about where we're putting our money. When we was locked down for 3 months, we got to understand what was so important and what was valuable.
Toilet paper.
And it wasn't things. It wasn't things. It was how is my family and how am I going to eat? And that's why somehow in the God-spoken moment, this whole climate with George Floyd followed the virus. Like we were preparing. 2020 is a year, and we better mind that 2020 isn't the rehearsal for 2021, because we got to prepare ourselves for things that could be happening that we don't expect to happen. And this is a time to be very conscious and very alert and have good intentions. It's all about intentions. Did I go off there? I hope that's okay.
No, that's fine. Are you sending a message? Because it's a special birthday as well as the Grenfell anniversaries. It's a birthday, and apparently we're all supposed to be sending somebody pictures of somebody else. Did you get that memo?
No.
Apparently, there's this big campaign to send Donald Trump a picture of Obama for his birthday, and they're getting thousands of people doing that. So I don't know if you're going to do that. But let me say thank you, Curtis. Let me say thank you, Angie. And let me also say to the people of Grenfell, there is an injustice, not a perceived injustice, an absolute injustice. And it is one of those that appears to have fallen on the back burner, not quite as important. Well done for that, top mate. Well done. Not quite as important. And in our hearts and in our minds, you are now. And we don't forget that, because, you know, justice for one is justice for all. So, look, let's sort this out now, because people are on here. So let's sort it out now.
Eddie, can I just ask a question, please?
Yes.
You know, when something goes to a public inquiry, why are we all so excited by that? And then nothing happens. It's like a public inquiry is another way of saying we're not going to do anything.
No, I don't believe that. It will.
Okay.
it happened. It does happen because inquiries were held over Stephen Lawrence. An inquiry was held over what
Yeah, but
happened.
what was the
Hillsborough.
outcome of the Stephen Lawrence thing, other than what
That the Met Police
were
was
institutionally racist?
racist.
But when that came out, I was disappointed because I was expecting something different, because every black person I was talking to knew that 20 years ago.
Well, maybe we can. Why don't we start with that? Because the other thing that, you know, and I'm going to get off here and I'm going to think, because I didn't prepare any, I just wanted to flow. And the other thing that's really important, I talked to Patrick Robinson this week, who a magnificent portrayal in the story about the Windrush generation. And there was an inquiry there. And many of those people still haven't been paid. So maybe we will start with inquiries next week. Let me go.
That was my point.
No, because you're going to start another show. And I've got to give my children time before I play music at 7 o'clock. So let me ask you this.
Protect the glass. Protect the glass.
Isn't he lovely?
No, if you, I'm not. But, right. What do you need another hour to do makeup? Because tell me something that you need.
Me or Angie?
No, Angie said 1 o'clock is better for her. So come. What time, man?
I've got to go to church.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
me too.
So 1 o'clock next week,
I
will
prefer
talk
12.
again.
I'm not going to lie. I can't stay here and lie. I prefer 12.
12:30.
12:30. There you go.
12:30.
We've learned the first lesson of compromise. At 12:30, we will be here next week. So we'll talk.
Can we improve the technology, Ed?
It's only yours.
Yeah, it's yours. That's the problem, Curtis.
Oh, is it? All right. I'll look about it.
Go and do it from Robbie's house. I told you.
All right then.
Right. So
Am I in Robbie's bubble?
Yes.
Yes, you are. Two fat black guys. You're definitely in his bubble.
Now, why do you have to do that? Why do you have to do that? And then you're gonna hang up the phone.
I was 30 last Friday on the 5th of June.
Again.
What do you mean again? Listen, God bless you, Angie. Look after yourself. Stay healthy. Stay strong. Stay inspirational. We love you. We need you. Curtis, my brother, I feel like I connected more with you in the virus. It's because I've been worried about you. Everything is we're gonna carry on talking. If you're watching this, listening to this, hopefully there's something that we can share. Please send a message so that we can pick it up and drive through with it next week, because there's no point in us talking about something that we think is important unless you let us know here's an area. For me, next week, 2 is happening. Lisa's cutting everybody up. Take it easy, Curtis. We're going to discuss whether inquests work and investigations work. And we're also going to discuss some really challenging conversations I've had about being mixed race this week. I thought those guys had the best of both worlds, but people are telling me they got a lot of anxiety because they're not accepted by either side. So just two of the areas that we'll play with, and we're going to do it for real. Hopefully you've seen that. Hopefully you like that. Please tell me if there's a conversation that you would like us to have. 12:30 on this platform next week. God spare our lives. We will be here. I'll be back at 7 o'clock playing music and having a laugh. Look after yourself, stay safe, and have yourself a magnificent day. And God bless the survivors of Grenfell. Take it easy. Goodbye.